Welcome to episode 12 of the Backseat Fighter Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Binns, and I am so excited for this episode because we had an amazing interview with Tuco Tokkos. He opened up the main card at UFC Tampa last weekend where he fought Navajo Stirling. Just incredible insight and input from him on overcoming adversity, what it's like being a UFC fighter, and just his story all the way from the beginning in Camden, London, and now fighting in front of thousands in the UFC. And also, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion afterwards about the way that Tuco spoke about fans treating him after his loss at UFC Tampa. And we've spoken a little bit before about the dialogue in between fans, but now we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about, conduct towards fighters from fans, especially after they lose. But get ready, get some popcorn, get coffee, whatever you need, and strap in, subscribe, like, comment, and let's just get straight into the interview with Tuco. Today on episode 12 of the Backseat Fighter Podcast, I, Charlie Binns, have the absolute honor of speaking with the fighter who opened up the main card at UFC Tampa last weekend. He slammed his opponents so hard that they've broken their arms. He can drag you into deep waters and submit you. And most importantly, he's from my hometown, London. It's my pleasure to welcome to the Backseat Fighter Podcast for the very first time, Tuco Tokkos. Tuco, thanks for joining me today, man.
Thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Just how are you feeling after the big fight last weekend at UFC Tampa? Just how's everything going?
Obviously, I'm disappointed in the result, but physically I'm fine, I don't have a scratch on me. He didn't hit me once in my face. So I'm just chilling. I'm just mad at myself more than anything.
Right, and I understand that with the result. And I want to get into the big fight last weekend, but yeah. Let's first talk about this. Something of big priority to me right now. I noticed after your fight against Brian Jackson, when you were celebrating in the octagon, you had a Chelsea shirt on. You don't happen to be a Chelsea fan, do you?
I'm a Chelsea
fan. I was a big fan.
Why are you Arsenal?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Yeah, right. I don't mind. It's not like you're our competition or anything. You ain't won nothing in 20 years.
Oh, so. No, I can't start.
How old are you?
I'm 21. I haven't ever
seen your club win nothing. That's crazy.
And at this point, I don't know if I ever will, man. The hope is dying very slowly. You guys.
I grew up when I grew up, I'm from an area where everyone's an Arsenal fan. So
yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Camden.
Yeah, okay. I live there right now. Yeah. So when I'm there, yeah, I live in Camden.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Whereabouts?
Anyway, just off Camden High Street. Camden High Road or Camden Road.
Nice.
Sorry.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live off Camden Road. There's a
amazing.
park there. Cantelou's Park.
Yes, yeah, right there. That's
a lot of bad things in that park.
that's about where I live, yeah. But that's amazing. Cool connection. But yeah, obviously, so did you grow up in Camden? So
yeah, I grew up in Camden, man, born and bred.
So obviously you've got is it Greek and Cypriot heritage?
Yeah. My dad's Greek and my mum's Brazilian. Random.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, so I wanted to ask you that obviously growing up in London, how did you get into sort of fighting or MMA? And when did you realize, when did that flick switch in your head that I'm going to become a pro fighter? I'm going to make it to the UFC one day?
Bro, I'm not like one of these guys, especially I've lived in America for 7 years now. In America, everyone starts wrestling when they're like 7 years old.
Yes.
They start doing karate when they're 5. I'm not like that, bro. I grew up in London. I was running around doing God knows what. And then when I was like 19, 20, I was like, oh, I'm part Brazilian. I should do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I started grappling at 20 years old or something. And I was pretty good. I kept like going through the belts and winning tournaments. And my coaches were like, don't be a pussy, do MMA. So I started doing MMA. But I had my first pro fight when I was like 27.
Wow, so,
yeah, I haven't been doing the sport that long. Yeah, that's why like all these trolls that troll me after fights and stuff, I just laugh because I'm like, I never claimed to be a world beater. I haven't been doing this sport long. I just like to fight, and UFC called me because all my fights are finishes. Someone gets finished. So, and they called me to fight. I said, hell yeah.
Right.
But like, that's why when people are like, oh, you fucking bum, I'm like, bro, I never claimed to be a world champ. I'm just me. You know what I mean?
And the fact that, you're saying that you didn't even have a pro fight till you were 27, that you didn't start training anything till the age of 19, 20. The fact that you've made it to the UFC, that you're opening main cards in front of huge crowds.
It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool.
It's incredible. It's more than cool.
Just like advice for everyone out there. Like I always tell, especially younger guys in the gym, I'm like, don't 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 make it your like everything, man.
Right.
Like if you want something too much, like the universe, God, whatever you believe in will spite you just to show you that like you don't need it.
Right.
And like I don't really care. I've never cared too much for MMA or being in the UFC. And now I find myself in the UFC on the main card. So it's like that's how it goes, man. If you obsess about something, you won't get it. Just to learn that you don't need it. You know what I mean?
Well, I wanted to get into a bit later on, but I guess we'll get into it now. You know, I guess in your career, obviously you're 10-5 now. You've had a lot of wins, a lot of finishes.
Yeah.
And you're saying like, you know, it was never like you're not emotionally attached all the way, 100% of you in fighting, in being in the UFC, having that kind of title behind yourself.
Yeah.
But I remember, I think it was after your fight against Clayton York when you got the Darce choke. You were speaking to Dana White. He was there at the fight, wasn't he? What were you saying in that moment? Is that part where you're like, obviously you're not... I
was supposed to get signed that night. Like they told me, the promoter of the show was like, you're getting signed, don't go anywhere, because I put him to sleep. Yeah. He was the favorite. He was supposed to win, and I choked him out cold.
Yeah, incredible.
Dana was like, whoa, because it was a sick choke. Mm-hmm. And stupidly, I ran over to Dana and I was like, I don't even train. I was like, I don't even train. And I said some other profanities about like my extracurricular activities up to that day. And he was kind of like, oh shit, this isn't a good look. And they didn't sign me that night. Which ain't, I guess it's not the best attitude to have, but that is my attitude. I'm not going to hide it. You know what I mean?
And it's gotten you to where you are as well. So. Yeah,
bro. And my life's good. I don't fight for money. I just fight because I like to fight. So I'm not going to pretend like all this fucking... I do work hard. When I'm in camp, I train hard with the best guys that I can. You know what I mean? I don't skip practice or anything. I'm not eating cookies and that. I take it seriously while I'm doing it, but I know there's more to life. Fighting is just a flash in the pan of your life. If you're lucky enough to live 80, 90 years, it's just 10% of your life if you fight for 10 years. You know what I mean?
And that's incredible perspective, I think, especially for just, not even just for fighters in terms of their career going forward and up and comers, but also just people who are going through any sort of hardship that, you know, you can't attach yourself 100% to your, I guess, certain things in your life that can make you feel overwhelmed, that can make you feel to invest in stuff. But you're saying that obviously, you know, you're not like, you train hard, you're disciplined, but fighting isn't everything for you. When did you make that decision to go to Killcliff, to such a prestigious gym, to work with the best guys? So, how did you know to take that step and move all the way to America? You've been there 7-8 years now.
I've been in America. I first came in 2016, right? I just visited because I had family here. And then like, when I came, I was already training at that time. I think I'd had a couple pro fights. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember the Black Zillions.
Yeah, of course.
Back in the day. Yeah, they just ended. And when I rocked up, I was like, I wanted to train. I was here for a month. Right. And I went to the new gym that they were at. But there was only like 10 guys there because the gym just disbanded. The team disbanded. And and I just went there and sparred with like, it was like Luke Rockhold, Kamaru Usman, Vulcan, Stefan Struve, Jason Jackson. Insane. It was like murderer's row,
Yeah, what a lineup.
And then like Henry Hoof was like, oh, you're good, you can train with us. And I just joined the team. And then I moved here a year later and I was just with that team. And then we moved gyms like 3-4 times. Now it's Killcliff, but I've been there for 7 years, you know, it's been my team for 7 years.
Wow. So since the beginning, really, then.
Yeah. So it's like everyone's like, oh, you moved to Killcliff, but I moved here way before that. I helped like put the mats down at Sanford, at Killcliff, these gyms.
Wow. And I guess like, you know, that must have made you so much better. You know, the simple phrase that iron sharpens iron. You're getting in there. You've got Usman, Stefan Struve, all of these elite guys in there. How has that helped your career in terms of being in the gym every day? I know I've seen a lot.
Bro, that's made my career, bro. Like, because like I said, I never had aspirations to be a champion or be in the UFC. So, but just being in that environment, training every day, it's like, oh, that's the standard. So it's like, you have to get with a program and you grow to that standard, you know what I mean? But like I said, I look at someone like my boy Belal Muhammad, he's a close friend of mine.
I love Belal. I'm a big fan of Belal over here.
I compare myself to him ability-wise because I don't think he has any talent. I don't think he's athletic. Don't get me wrong, he's bodied up, but he's not athletic. He ain't quick. He ain't fast. He ain't even that strong. I think Belal has no talent, but he is the most disciplined, intelligent, hardworking, humble guy. And he's one of the best people in this whole sport and one of the best humans. And that is why he will always succeed, because he works harder than the guy. He runs farther than the guy he's fighting. He trains harder, longer. He studies more tape. He strategizes more. Right. He's better to his family. He's better to his coaches. He's better to his teammates. And that is why he is the best. He's the champion of the world because of that. So I see myself like that, where I don't think I'm not athletic, bro. I don't have any talent. I'm tough. Maybe that's my best attribute, is that I'm tough. And that I got thick skin, bro. Like, I'll never have a broken heart over this sport. You know what I mean? I'll break a hand, I'll break a foot, I'll break bones, but I'll never be brokenhearted from this sport, because it's just a sport. And at the end of the day, no one even cares. The day after my fight, I go to the gas station, no one even knows who I am. It's like, I don't take it too seriously, man. Right.
I think it's a credible perspective. And also the way, I mean, with Belal, the way you spoke about him, that he has no talent, you wouldn't be able to tell, especially obviously he's coming off that championship victory against Leon Edwards, where he looked incredible. And it obviously, maybe he doesn't have the natural talent, but he's developed skills now where he's obviously the champ of the world, one of the best.
Bro, yeah, you can't tell me that Leon isn't like bigger, quicker, stronger, faster, has better striking, better this, better that. But Belal will beat all these guys, bro. He'll beat every single one of them.
Yeah, I mean, on that topic, real quick, do you think he beats Shavkat then when they fight?
Shavkat's my boy, but I think Belal is just too intelligent, man. There's no one he can't beat, bro.
Right. I agree. I think it's gonna be a
Belal actually sent me the game plan. Belal sent me a game plan to beat this guy. If I would have followed it, I would have won easily.
I mean, okay, well, I guess that's a perfect transition to move on to your most recent fight against Navajo Stirling. I mean, he was I think it was a minus 750, at least
crazy.
Last time I saw it. I think it was.
He was like minus 250 to knock me out. I was like, why?
And
he was knocked out.
Obviously, he's got a good kickboxing background, very technical striker, but it definitely was a disrespectful, betting odds, money line, and everything like that. So what was your strategy? What was your thoughts about Navajo Stirling coming into this fight? And then, what did you feel like in the cage in there with him?
I was surprised. He's fucking enormous. Oh my God. He's huge. Yeah. But he did surprise me because he wasn't as quick or as powerful as I thought with the striking. But we had the game plan kind of worked, I guess. The first round was like, just move around, move your feet, let him plod along and try and throw heavy and get tired punching. And he was tense and probably had a lot of nervous energy. Like, let him come and just move around, feint, whatever. So we done that first round, gave the first round away. Then I came out second round, I went forward immediately, and then I took him down with a single leg. And we started grappling, and it did get him tired. I took him down, I think, 2-3 times in that round. And I saw after the second round, his hands were up above his head, like he was tired. I was like, right, we're on here. This is it.
Right.
And that's what my corner said to me. Like Brendan Allen said to me before the third, like, this is what you wanted. This is it. He's tired.
Yeah, I think I heard that on the broadcast. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like, let's go. But bro, by that time he chopped my leg to shit. I remember my wrestling coach saying, front foot busy, like feint and get in. But bro, the calf kicks were really effective. My leg is still chewed up now. He chopped my leg up. I got to a single leg, but I couldn't finish it. Held him on a cage for a bit. And he edged me in the striking and won the round. I tried to fight smart for once. Usually I just brawl, but I tried to fight smart for once. It didn't work out. Never again, man.
To be fair, I wouldn't necessarily never go back to fight intelligently again, because I definitely thought you won the second round when I was watching it. I was surprised when I heard 30-27.
Yeah, I know. That's why I shook my head at the decision. Everyone was like, why are you shaking your head, you bum? You thought you won that fight. I was like, no, but because I was upset that I didn't go out there and do more in the third, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway because they fucking gave him the second somehow.
Exactly.
Makes no sense.
And that speaks to a bigger problem in MMA judging in general. But I did think
I thought you were talking about how the UFC glazed these guys that they want to win.
Well, yeah, good talk on that. Talk on that if that's the way you feel.
Yeah, man. He was getting glazed all week, but it is what it is. If you hold Izzy's fucking mouthpiece, then you get glazed, innit?
I mean, I think, to be fair, I think, going back to the fight, I think definitely that second round, obviously you were winning the grappling exchanges. And I wrote down here that he was getting tired and you tired him out towards that third round. He wasn't able to be as active. And although he probably did edge the striking numbers, it was nowhere near the fight that a lot of experts, a lot of fans, a lot of the media were.
If you see the guys I train with, like, I train with some terrifying guys, man.
I know,
Brendan Allen, Impa Kasanganai, Tyrone Spong, Jarrell Miller comes in and spars.
Wow.
Like, real heavy-handed guys, man. And this kid has like 5 MMA fights against nobodies and some kickboxing fights against some other fat white guys. And it's like, come on. He was a plus 250 for a round 1 KO. I was like, in what world? And then in his post-fight interview, fair play to him, he won the fight, congrats. But he was like, he was just kind of covering. His defense was too tight. He just didn't want to get hit. I was like, yeah, that's a fight, buddy. You don't get hit. What do you think? I'm just going to stand there like the other opponents that you got paid to fight you on that shitty show in Australia or whatever.
And that's why I say it. That's why I say when you're saying, maybe I should have just brawled, I disagree because you were able to shell up and keep yourself safe. And, every time that it kind of looked like he was about to land a big shot, I remember you'd shake your head. You tell him, no, I didn't do anything.
Yeah. That's just my mind games, man. Everyone dogs me for that if I lose, but I've done that in fights that I won and it always works. And it was working on him. Every time he hit me, I'd be like, soft. I'd just shake my head. Be like, nah, soft.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it works great when you win the fight, but when you lose the fight, you look a bit stupid, but it is what it is.
So, yeah. And then obviously you mentioned there, obviously that he was able to chew up the lead leg. I started training Muay Thai a couple of months ago, and even now we're just tapping shins. We're literally tapping shins in practice. It's painful. So can you try to explain to the people at home what it feels like when you're going 100% in a fight in the UFC? What it feels like someone to kick your leg?
Look at the size of him. Imagine shin on shin. I checked a couple of them and yeah, man, shit hurts. But
yeah, it's something that now that I even just started training a little bit, I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
You can't feel it that much in the fight, but after the fight, you're like, ow.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's not a scratch on me. My biggest injury is my ear, bro.
What happened?
Just as swollen as hell from wrestling. Right. But that's it, bro. That's my biggest injury is my ear and my foot where I kicked his elbow, and that's it. Like, Bisping was like, he's almost finished him 4 or 5 times. Like, when was I almost finished?
That. And I wanted to ask you about that. Like,
the biased commentary.
I think sometimes people think, like fighters are kind of immune to just outside opinions, that fighters are just like characters on a TV screen, like Street Fighter on a video game type characters, where you guys are people. You hear the noise, you're like us, and you go back and watch the fights and you hear the commentary. Bisping has been accused. I love Bisping. I'm a big fan of him as a commentator, as his podcast, as a fighter when he was champion even before that. But as a fellow Brit, I thought he would be biased more in your direction than he was. But yeah, explain what you felt like.
Maybe he don't want Brits to do well because it takes away from his shine or what, but I don't know. But bro, I got so many DMs. I always get DMs, but I reply to all of them. I'm OCD. I love the DMs, bro. Like, and if people comment on my shit, I go on their profile, I look at their fat, pathetic life with their ugly wife and their ugly kids and their shit job, and I'll send them a message back. I'll reply to them. But you know what? I'm so chill, man. I'm like a guy messaged me the other day and I messaged him back, hey, buddy, thank you so much for going out your way to send me that kind message.
Right.
You're such a good guy. Yeah, I'm like, I really needed that today. I appreciate you, man. God bless you and your family. 99% of the time they reply, I'm so sorry, man. I really didn't think. Please forgive me. I take it back. I'm sorry. But people just, they're out of their minds, man. But I got thick skin, bro. I don't take it to heart, man. My life's great, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
House. I got
Look at that.
Swimming pool.
Wow, living the life.
I was going to put that on my Instagram story. I was going to be like, man, all you haters have really got so much to say. I don't know what to do with myself. Maybe I'll go for a swim in my pool. Maybe I'll go drive my Porsche around and wear my Rolex. Maybe I'll eat some caviar. Who knows?
That'll fix some stuff.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, I wanted to, I saw that in a story you posted on Instagram that you were saying people were questioning your manhood and after
Yeah, bro.
What happened there?
People were like, "Oh, you fucking pussy! Like, you're lucky I don't come to your fucking house and take all your shit." Like because of my performance, and I just had to I put the story up because I was like, guys, remember, it's a sport, it's a sanctioned bout.
Yeah.
In real life, I'll wrap a crowbar around Navajo's head. He's just a kid. Of course, he beat me in a fight with rules and judges because his striking is better and whatever. Right. But that ain't real life, bro. Like in the outside world, there's no fighter on the roster that I won't bat up. So it's two different things, guys. Don't question a man's manhood because he lost a fight by significant strikes, getting touched by a gloved hand.
Right. I mean, that's what I think. There's a lot of people who don't realize, they, especially in real life, they would never say that to your face in real life. First of all, not. But also I was listening to the Believe in Me podcast recently, and they were saying, I don't know if remember the stat, but they were saying a lot of people think they can beat up a UFC fighter. That they can, a normal, no training, just a 9-to-5 guy can beat up a UFC fighter. A lot of people, for some reason, believe they can do that. But
bro, I hear that. I hear them say stuff like, "I'll just kick you in the nuts," or "I'll poke you in the eye." I'm like, buddy, I can kick you in the nuts too, but I can kick. Yeah. That's the difference. The difference is I can actually kick when I kick you in the nuts. You think you're the only one who can kick in the nuts and poke in the eye? I can do that just with speed and power.
Yeah, definitely more dangerous, that's for sure. But, no, I want to ask one more, serious question before a couple of fun ones. You're now you're 10-5. You've been able to bounce back from losses, and even now you're talking about your mentality, about how it's not everything to you, how it's just a sport. What advice could you give to young up-and-coming fighters or just people in general when they've got adversity in their life or things that are challenging them mentally, physically? What advice can you give them to overcome sort of losses and stuff like that?
The advice I would give is that you have to remember the time is going to pass regardless, right? Whether you do nothing, whether you enter a depressive state, the time is going to pass. Right. So that there's no point in not making the investment. It's that's what I tell people with training is the time's going to pass anyway. So you may as well be on the mats. You know what I mean? If you feel bad, whatever, be on the mats. There's the greatest meme, and it's a young fighter, and he says, I want to be a world champ. I'll do anything it takes. Right. And the coach says, show up every day on time. And the fighter's like, oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like I said, I got no talent, but I just show up every day and I'm early. And that's what I try and do. I try and control the things I can control. I can't always control how I feel. Right. You know what I mean? But I can control where I am and what I'm doing. And that's what I mean when I say the time's going to pass anyway. So get your ass up, get to the gym. Even when you feel bad, just concern yourself with the next task, the task at hand, which might be getting out your bed, taking your shit, brushing your teeth, getting your gym bag ready, one step at a time in the car, and do everything to the best of your ability. If I'm feeling nervous before a fight, and that's what I tell people when I corner, because I corner people because I'm 100 times a better coach than I am a fighter. I tell people, think about the next task, whatever that may be. Packing your bag for the arena. Right. Make sure you do that to the best of your ability. Put your mouthpiece in an accessible place. Put your cup on top of your shorts. Do everything organized. When you walk to get on the bus, don't trip over. Walk straight. Take in the scenery. Every single thing until you get to the fight. If you have that habit of doing it, complete the next task to the best of your ability. Your warm up, getting your hands wrapped, whatever, until you get to the fight, then you'll have that habit of doing everything well, and hopefully you do it in the fight.
Right, and I guess that's kind of talking about that, stack up a bunch of little victories throughout your day, throughout whatever it is, whether you're a fighter about to fight at UFC Tampa, open up the main card, or, you're just struggling with things in your own life. But is that a mentality that you developed through martial arts, or is that something you had before when you were a kid, when you were growing up in Camden?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just some self-help shit I invented. I don't know.
Well, fair enough, man. It's good advice, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to find it useful. Now, I wanted to ask you a question. I saw Alex Bohunin post this on Twitter. I don't know if he did an interview with you. It was in his humanizing athletes thing. You said your favorite sport was Kazakh horseback archery. Now you've got to explain.
You know about that?
No, I don't know about that. That's why I'm asking.
Bro, Shavkat was at my house the other day. We was having dinner. And and we're just watching videos about Kazakhstan on the YouTube. Yeah, bro, they do that over there. They get on horses and they ride. They're hanging off the side of the horse, shooting arrows at a target.
Wow.
Because it's in their culture, that Mongol steppe people history. Right. Just Google it. Just YouTube Kazakh horseback riding.
I'll try and put a video in right now so we can see whilst we're talking about it. But that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, bro.
All right. I play a game on this podcast. I've done it with another fighter so far. I'll say a fighter's name and you just say one word to describe that fighter. Okay?
All right, cool.
All right, first one. This is a good friend of yours, I imagine, in your corner for UFC Tampa. Brendan Allen.
Redneck.
Why redneck?
Hillbilly, swamp trash, piece of shit.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. I like that. All right. Kamaru Usman.
I go way back with Kamaru. I'll say he said about Leon before, but I'll say it about him. Misunderstood.
In what way? I'll let you expand on that.
A lot of people have opinions about him, but I feel like he definitely changed a bit when he became champ. But he was dealing with a pressure not many understand, you know, being world champ and having that target on your back. He had to a lot of people were like, oh, he became a bit stush, but yeah, he had a lot of pressure on him. You know, I've always been cool with Kamaru, even though he did change up a bit and went a bit quiet and stuff. But yeah, I think he's just misunderstood.
Yeah, fair. I mean, especially even just to go back in Killcliff, right? That's where he was training before. I think he moved out with Trevor Whitman.
Yeah, back now.
He's back now, yeah. But, you know, even then when he was champ, you know, he's training with Vicente Luque, Gilbert Burns, with Shavkat, you know, people that are really coming for him. So I can imagine that was playing on his mind too. Well, okay, next one. He's not a fighter anymore, retired. And we just spoke about him, but Michael Bisping. Give me one word. He's thinking.
He's a git. He's a northern. I'll say git.
That's a good one. All right. John Jones, heavyweight champ right now. Go. Yeah, established. 100%. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. This is an interesting one. I don't know if you would expect this one, but you know, just recently had a bit of an emotional camp, losing his coach, possibly retired at UFC 310. Was it 310? Yeah. Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Expired,
yeah.
Yeah, if you see how timid he looked recently compared to, like, there was a time he was murking people. He was like Rashad, Shogun. He cut through a bunch of guys on the way to that title shot.
Yeah.
But now he's just not, it looks like he's just fighting for a check.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. And I hope he just makes the right decision for him and his family.
Yeah.
Okay. Your opponent last week, Navajo Stirling.
Potential.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. What's he now? He's 6-0 now after
6-0. He's like 25 or something. He's massive.
Yeah.
He's massive. Yeah.
And you think, what would you say his best attribute is in there? Is it the leg kicks? Is it something else? Is it timing? Is it his ability to use his size?
I think just his size, man, and his reach. But I will say, like, after the fight and his post-fight, he was like talking about a comment I made about city kickboxing not having the wrestling that we have in America and all that. That was the worst meet ever, and I took him down pretty easily, a guy bigger than me. I do think, like, Izzy should have the best wrestling defense at his gym, and he's easy to take down. Like, I do think if he did train in America, like, I'm the bottom of the pecking order of wrestlers at my gym. Like, I can't take anyone down at my gym. So he should definitely think about that. Like, he should come and train. He should come to my gym and train wrestling, and it really become a problem, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize as well that in other countries, like not America, not Russia, not Iran, like there isn't like a sort of wrestling pyramid that you kind of climb when you're a kid. There's no sort of infrastructure.
I know their wrestling coach, Frank Hickman, is like their wrestling coach. Right. He's my boy. great coach, but he can't be there all the time. He goes there for people's camps but he's in Thailand, the US, he's all over the place. But like, yeah, he needs to come. It's the bodies, man. Who's the best wrestlers that he's training with there? Izzy, like, Drickus just sneezed and took him down.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I think, it could be beneficial. I think it's beneficial for a lot of people to come around and train in different camps, regardless of what their kind of deficiencies are.
Sure.
Okay, last one. And this is the most important one of the episode. Tuco Tokkos. One word for Tuco.
I'm just a G.
I love that one.
Unfazed.
No, man, it's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh my God, I appreciate you, man.
Incredible perspective on a lot of things there. And I find it absolutely insane that you're a guy who has made it to the UFC, has fought such big fights, fought at UFC Tampa on the main card, and yet you never really aspired to be champ or a UFC fighter.
Bro, I'm just chilling, man. I'm so blessed, bro. I've done so much in my life already. Right. It was just the one chapter of my life, you know.
Right, and are you heading back home for Christmas? Is that a plan?
Nah, I'm home. I live in Florida, man. I'm home. Yeah, sunny skies.
Do you ever go back? You ever miss?
Yeah, I go back now and then.
You ever miss the grey, rainy,
never
horror weather that we've got?
Never ever.
All right, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
All right, brother. Anytime, man. Hit me up.
No problem. All right, thank you.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
So let's get into this discussion a little bit. I haven't really written anything down for this one, and I just want to speak from the heart a little bit. You know, Tuco offered such great insight there about, you know, what it was like starting at 19 and 20 years old in Jiu Jitsu, not really having an aspiration to be a UFC fighter or a UFC champion, and now look at the success he's having. And he kind of uses that as his, you know, base, his principle to not get too emotionally distressed or upset when he loses a fight, or when people, like we're going to talk about right now, are kind of coming at him after he's losing a fight, questioning his manhood, saying they could beat him up, saying they could beat him in a fight, all of these things, that he should quit, he should retire. You know, a lot of the usual things that unfortunately we've seen when fighters lose. I just thought he was a really incredible guest, and I thank him so much for coming on, just because, you know, yeah, he was great. He showed a lot of personality, but he also taught a lot of lessons about what it's like being a fighter, what it's like being at one of the most highly rated gyms, working with these killers every day. And he's also one of those people that's been there from the beginning, just after the Black Zillions form kind of team just disbanded. And, you know, then, you know, kind of starting Kill Cliff, laying down the mats. I just thought it was a great interview. And I just want to say thank you so much, Tuco, for coming on. And now we're going to get into that discussion that I was just opening up there about, that he was receiving a lot of, you know, bad hate, negative comments on social media, people questioning his manhood, as he put it. And, you know, this is something that we didn't just see with Tuco in our most recent episode, in episode 11, for the Professor Xavier Vines, a Cage Warriors fighter, elite fighter, you know, fight of the night, still getting hate comments, telling him he should retire, telling him he sucks. You know, these are the types of things that cannot happen in MMA. You know, these fighters are very, very special human beings. They do something that not a lot of people could do. And they put it all on the line. They really risk their future, their long-term health, their ability to enjoy their lives outside the octagon on the line for your entertainment, for the fans' entertainment. And, you know, it's so easy to look at these guys like Street Fighter characters on a screen that are just, you know, playable characters. They're not real. They don't have families, they don't have friends, they don't have feelings, because, you know, they're on TV and they're cage fighters. So they must be brutes who, you know, don't really have anything else going on. Through speaking with these fighters and you know, interviewing these fighters, I hope you guys can see that they are way more than just people who get locked in a cage and throw hands and kicks and do jiu-jitsu and try and choke each other out and put each other to sleep. These are real, you know, very deep, very special human beings. And the way people treat them after they lose, you know, part of me is like, it's very, very unforgiving and very fickle. That's what I want to say. It's very fickle, because if Tuco goes out there, he somehow beats, you know, knocks out Navajo Stirling, when all the odds say that Navajo's a minus 750, you know, one of the biggest favorites in a long time, a minus 220 to knock out Tuco, right? If Tuco goes out there and wins that, all those fans that are probably hating on him, that are saying all these terrible things to him, they're probably, you know, the first ones messaging him saying, yo, well done, Tuco. You're the man. You're the best fighter. You're my favorite fighter, right? So it must be tough for fighters to kind of stay level-headed or you know, it might be a requirement for fighters to stay level-headed. And sometimes that's unfortunate because what that does is not only, of course, it does the positive thing, if it blocks out the negative noise, the hatred, all those distractions that probably take away from your love of the game, but it also blocks out all the positive people who are genuinely there supporting these fighters because, you know, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin, right? How can a fighter trust that your, you know, well wishes, your support is true, valid, honest, if at the same time, so many fickle fans jump on their backs, telling them the worst, all of these horrible things whenever they lose. So I can imagine it's like very difficult for fighters to kind of trust people around them, trust the support. And even in our first interview we did with Josh Flash on Woody, he kind of spoke about the fact that when he's winning, there was a lot of people with him and, you know, he kind of went through some challenges, some adversity, some losses on the record. He lost friends. He lost people that, you know, he thought were in his corner. And yeah, I just really wanted to talk about this really quickly because I think it's such a big issue in the MMA community and it's an issue in all sports, right? It's an issue in football. It's an issue in tennis. It's an issue in basketball, you know, American football, ice hockey. I'm sure everything, right? That people, it's just a kind of a human condition that a lot of people are attracted to success, attracted to winning, attracted to the life and the glory that somebody else is living. And, you know, usually they want to attach themselves to other people's success. You know, that's not necessarily, you know, I don't want to categorize that in any way, but it's a human thing. It's what people do, unfortunately. And, you know, in fighting, I just think that should be a little bit different. The reason I love MMA, the reason I love mixed martial arts, the UFC, the reason I love Muay Thai and boxing and combat sports is because we have to understand that these guys are putting everything on the line. It's not about losing a game. It's not about losing a playoff game. This is about risking your life, somebody trying to kill you in there. And I think that's what makes it different. That's what makes it more fickle. That's what makes it more of a crime, of a violation when fans are fickle towards these fighters, when fans are flip on fighters, when fans are negative after a loss, because, you know, it's not like, it's not a game. It's not a sport in the same way that basketball is a sport. Now, you know, Tuco's perspective was so great on it. He was like, it is just a sport. Fighting's just a sport. I don't attach my whole self to it. I've got a great life outside of fighting. It's something I do as a passion. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for anything else other than I enjoy doing it. I'm pretty good at it, obviously. And I understand what you're saying, that it is a sport, because at the end of the day, of course, it's a sanctioned bout with two people who are consensual in there. You know, nobody has died in the history of the UFC, thank God. So I do understand why he's saying it's just a sport. But at the end of the day, it's less of a sport than basketball. And I mean that in the most positive way. I think MMA is just more valuable on a human level than basketball. Now, I'm a big basketball fan, but I'm just saying, you know, what these guys risk, the consequences of losing are just not the same. And that's why I get so upset when I hear these stories, these first-hand accounts from fighters who are even in the UFC, opening up main cards, having to deal with stuff like this after you kind of put everything out there, you know, after you risk your life for entertainment, you risk your long-term health, your brain health. You know, Tuco's shin is still messed up from taking those kids from Navajo, and he's still got people now. People like Tuco are able to ride with it. People like Tuco kind of bounces off them. They've got a great perspective on life. But I'm sure there's a lot of fighters where it gets to them, obviously, because you must feel like especially after you've lost, and if it's been a close fight, you've put everything in there, you've been in a war, you're hurt, you're physically damaged. And then to have people piling on you, I can imagine just the mental side of this game is so unforgiving. And, you know, it must be a real challenge to stay even keeled. And I know that pressure comes along with other sports, but the reason I'm trying to explain it perfectly, the reason with fighting is just there's different levels. There's different levels of physical exertion, pain, injury that you have to go through in order to be a winner in this game. And, you know, unfortunately, Professor Xavier Vines, Josh Woody, and Tuco Tokkos, the three people I've had on the show so far, have all spoken about this. And, you know, that's why it's on us as, you know, people in the community, whether you're media like me, a true fan of sport like me, or, you know, you're just getting into loving this game. It's on us. It needs to be a ground up movement to change the discourse of MMA. Even the way we speak to each other when debating topics and talking about fighters. we have to make sure we're doing so in a way that's respectful to the sport and to the fighters. You know, we shouldn't be running around, going back to another discussion we had, we shouldn't be running around and going, you're a casual, and kind of doing these over-exaggerated takes, because what that happens is that changes the way we view fighters. If you're calling everybody casual and you're using these very hyperbolic terms and broad blanket statements about fighters, this is what happens. These are the real life repercussions of those types of discussions, where people who take those viewpoints think they're genuine, concrete, valid, fair, just viewpoints, and then we'll go actually say them to a fighter. And the problem is now with social media is that we have sort of a barrier in between, you know, that communication. It's not direct, right? I could go DM a fighter and yes, that's a direct message, but there's a clear barrier in between there where, you know, I'm not saying it to a fighter's face. And that's the problem, right? We've got a lot of people in this community who love fighting, who think they know fighting, and who definitely cannot fight, who have never trained a day in their life, and will say stuff like this to Tuco or Xavier or Josh, the 3 fighters we've had, great fighters, and will say stuff like this to them, knowing full well they would never do that in real life. And I think that's a big problem that we have, not just in fighting in MMA, but in society. People feel like now they're safer behind the keyboard, behind the social media platforms, and able to kind of talk to people this way. And I think that has been a kind of a degeneration in terms of the way people communicate with each other. People think it's okay to say things that usually would not be. And I think Tuco spoke well about that in his interview with me. And yeah, I just really appreciate him coming on. I wanted to speak a little bit about that. What do you guys think? Do you think it's okay that people talk to fighters like that? What do you think the solution is? And, you know, I just want people to have fun on this platform. I'm not saying we can't have the barbershop talk. I'm just saying it can't be at the expense of the people who build the sport, and that is the fighters. And that's all I'm going to say for that for now. Don't treat fighters badly. Do not get onto them after they've lost. Do not, you know, insult them, tear them down after a loss or a win. Just make sure you support these guys and have respect for them, regardless of the outcomes of these fights, because they're putting it all on the line. But that's going to do it now for me for this episode. I just wanted to get that in after the interview, just because I thought it was a really important thing that he brought up there again. And yeah, subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, The Backseat Fighter. Follow me on Spotify. Subscribe over there if you prefer to listen on audio. And of course, follow me on TikTok at The Backseat Fighter Pod. On Instagram at The Backseat Fighter Pod, the same thing. And of course on Twitter as well, where I'll just be updating with my thoughts and clips from the best parts of the podcast on all platforms. I really appreciate the support recently, not only on the 4 episodes, of course, but on TikTok, on Instagram. You know, I love you guys talking in the comments over there, liking the videos, and keep watching, because we're just trying to grow this community and make sure we grow MMA media and sports combat media very much more healthily than everyone else is doing. So let's do that. And thank you for all the support, and you'll see me on episode 13 of the Backseat Fighter podcast. Thank you so much, Tuco, and I'll see you next time.